Thank you guys so much for joining. I just wanted to take a quick moment to say happy birthday to Christine. So exciting. I hope you had a great day, Christine. We are going to go through some social media tips and tricks today. But the first thing that I wanted to really stress to you guys is it doesn't matter like how bomb your social media game is. You still have to be doing the behind the scenes work in the trenches. So if you look at Lindsay Matway and Chelsea Pearson and Bonnie Engel, they have like an amazing social media presence and they've got social media down to an art. But I guarantee you people aren't knocking down their doors to join their challenge groups. They're still doing a lot of work behind the scenes. Actually, recently I've heard that Bonnie Engel does 70% of her day is spent on inviting. So that's a huge portion of her day. She's a top coach. So it just goes to show that you still have to really be sinking your teeth into those 4 vital behaviors and that it's not all about your social media game. But of course, social media does play a huge role in this. Our business is built on our social media presence and how we show up every day within our social media. So I just have 5 tips to share with you guys tonight. And I wanted to kind of give you a little, not too much about my story because I feel like I say my story to you guys all the time. But before I started with Beachbody coaching, I always was kind of fascinated by like lifestyle bloggers and whatnot. And I thought it would be really cool to have a lifestyle presence on social media. But I was like, what am I going to talk about? Like, what makes me special? So when I decided to be a coach with Beachbody, it really gave me a platform to kind of share my story and my life while being able to help other people lead a healthier life, which I think is really cool. So it's really awesome that Beachbody gives us a platform to share our stories and share our life with others. But I think it's really important that we remember that we have to lead with us. And although we are Beachbody coaches, that's not all we are. We are so much more than Beachbody coaches, and it's so important that we lead with our hearts and our stories and what makes us unique, because we are just one person in a sea of Beachbody coaches. So you really have to set yourself apart by being authentically you and genuine to yourself, and put your presence out there on social media in a way that feels good to you, in a way that is uniquely you. So I'm going to give you guys some tips that might help with that. And first of all, I also wanted to say it's really important to choose either 1 or 2 platforms on social media that you're going to go all in on and be super consistent with those. And really stick with those. So whether it is your personal page or your like page or Instagram, whatever it is, make sure that you're showing up every single day within those platforms, and that you stick with that platform and you go all in with that. Another thing that I wanted to point out before I get into the tips right away is it's important, I'm going to say this a million times tonight, to lead with you. So it's a good practice, and we've all done this, especially when we first start, but it's a good practice to avoid using Beachbody stock photos and like Shakeology photos. I remember when I first started, I thought, okay, so this is what I am now. I'm a Beachbody coach. I sell Shakeology, but it actually couldn't be further than the truth. People don't want to see your Shakeology photo every day and the Beachbody stock photos. They want to see you. They want to see your face, your family, your hobbies, your interests. They really care about you and your story, and not necessarily the products. But if you can show that the product is changing your life in a real and genuine way, then they're going to want to join you. So that's something that's really important, and I'll probably reiterate that a bunch of times tonight. But my first tip, ironically, is to lead with you. So an amazing example of leading with you is obviously Kara. You guys all follow Kara, and you see what an amazing job she does on social media. And you don't see her talking about Shakeology and about, the 21-day fix. She integrates that in, but she really pulls on people's heartstrings with her family and her family story and what she's been through and the strength that she's found through coaching and the opportunity that she's made from coaching, but we all love her so much because we feel like she's our best friend and we know so much about her story and we feel like we can really relate to her. And if we can't even relate to her on that level, that we want to be there for her and we want to cheer her on and support her through it. And that's something that really stuck out to me and that made me choose her as my coach. Is she was so real, like she was so vulnerable. And like I said, I just wanted to be her best friend and I wanted to, like love her through that journey. So it's really important that you put yourself first and your journey and your personality. You want to think of social media as your journal. You're documenting your story and your transformation and everything that you're going through. Mind you don't want to get too much into the dark stuff. You always want to put a positive spin on it. I'm not saying you shouldn't be vulnerable and real and raw, but you always want to put a positive spin on it and be a light in this world, because there's so much darkness and there's so much negativity and just crappy stuff on Facebook every single day, that I really truly believe that we are here to bring light into other people's world and to attract them to health and wellness in like a heartfelt way, a really genuine way. And especially our team, we do a really good job of that, of leading in a way that is authentic and really, really heartfelt. It is, like I said, important to share your struggles and your vulnerabilities because people can relate to that. You are going to attract people that might have the same struggles as you. For example, with Kara's infertility treatment, she has attracted so many people that have gone through the same struggles as her because they relate to her and they reached out to her before there was even any thought of maybe joining a challenge group. They reached out to her and she built a relationship because of those struggles that she was brave enough to go out there and share with the world. And only share what feels authentic to you. So a really good practice is to, before you write out a post, speak it out loud. And does that feel natural to you? Is that something that you would say to your best friend or your mom? If not, maybe you need to go and revise it. Speaking it out loud is a really good way to tell if it feels comfortable to you and real to you. And that's a good thing to do before you post anything, is to really put it out there out loud in your own voice and see if it feels authentic to you. And you're going to want to get good at refining your story and telling your story. You can't, even though I said this at the beginning, you can't tell your story enough. Even if you think people aren't watching, they are. But stuff gets so easily lost in social media land that you can't tell your story enough. Like how many times, I'm going to keep using Kara as an example, but how many times have we read her story, but every time we're in complete awe, and every time, it pulls on our heartstrings again because she's so good at telling it and she's refined it down to an art. So it's so important to always be telling your story, breadcrumbing it in little snippets, but to be constantly sharing what you're going through and what makes you unique and what makes your struggles unique.
Can I say something quickly?
Yes.
Sorry, I had to steal spot. No, I'm joking. I just want to let you guys know though too, like a lot of you are new coaches on our team, and you might be looking at my social media or somebody who's been doing it for a longer period of time. And I just want you guys to know, like, I didn't start out here. It took me a long time of exercising that courage muscle and sharing my story. When I started as a coach, most of my family didn't even know about our struggles. So you can imagine how hard that was for me to start sharing with the world. But like the best advice I can give you about that is just to always do what you're comfortable with and just start small. For me, that was just sharing in my challenge groups, right? And courage is like a muscle. So just like arm day or leg day, you have to exercise it every single day. And really, it's like it becomes to a point where it's not even like an issue anymore. And you might see that already using social media. Like there's a lot of things in the beginning that we're like scared to do. And then we do it. And then we're like, well, that wasn't that big of a deal. Right. So like just do it like very, very slowly as you feel comfortable. Right. And you don't have to like, do a big post about all your problems. But what I found is that the more I did it, the better I got at it, right? The better I got at telling it, the better I got to, like Nicole said, and I'm glad, thank you for saying that, like just sharing authentically. But I just want you to know the only way you get good at that is if you do it, right? The only way, like you don't want to start when you're like, I have it perfect. Just start really small, and maybe it's just like, feeling anxious or something really small, like, because that, like Nicole said, is how 150% you're going to connect with other people like you. And when you connect with other people like you, it makes this job so easy and so fun. And it's just the easiest way to build your business. Because when you try to be something you're not, you bring in people into your business who aren't like you, and it's not as fun, or you're connecting with people who just aren't on the same page as you. So just be yourself and like share openly, have that courage, start small, and just go for it. So anyway, that's all I have. I just want you guys to know I didn't start here. That's all I want you to know.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And I didn't mean to overwhelm anyone and be like, you have to show up and be perfect. That's exactly the opposite. Just like she said, start small. She spent a lot of time refining her story, but we have to start somewhere. And the whole point is just that people want to see you and your face and your family, and they really care about what you're going through. So always lead with you and how coaching and challenge groups and fitness has changed your life. So that's the most important thing with that tip. First tip, lead with you. The second tip is consistency. I can't stress this enough. You have to show up every single day in your social media. If you show up every single day and you post, a good rule of thumb is 3 to 5 times a day, because like I said, social media land is so vast and so huge that a lot of your content is getting missed, and putting it out there one time a day or a couple times a week doesn't guarantee that a lot of people are going to see it. And I don't know the exact statistic, but there's something like people have to see something 7 times until it clicks or something like that. So constantly showing up, and if you're consistently showing up in your social media, you're kind of telling your followers like, hey, I'm here. I'm in this for real. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here in 2 months when you're ready, if you're ready then. But just showing up every day, it gets them to like, know, and trust you, and realize that you are in it and that you're going to be there for them on social media. And then when they come in your life in a more private aspect, whether that be a challenge group or whatnot, then you're going to be there for them because you show up every day in social media. And like I said, everything can get lost in there, so it's so important to post at least three to 5 times a day is a good measure, and to make sure that there's some variety in those posts, so that you're not posting 3 times a day about fitness, that you're mixing it up, that you're posting about other things that are going on in your life, and that you have some variety. Sorry, I just have notes so that I don't get distracted. And you're also by showing up consistently, you're showing that you have value to share with your followers, and that you have something to offer. So that being a challenge group invite or an invite to the coaching opportunity. Of course, always doing that behind the scenes work with personal conversations and personal invites, personal hey girl messages, connecting with people behind the scenes. But by showing up on social media and putting those graphics or those invites out there to the mass audience, it's showing that you're not just here for inspiration, even though that's what we're there for. We're there to be inspiration, light, and motivation, but that you also have something to offer and something to invite to, and that's really important in being consistent. And I want to stress that even if it seems like no one is watching, there's always someone watching. Some people don't have a lot of confidence to go in and like or comment or whatnot, but I promise you they're watching. And sometimes it takes 6 months or a year or 2 years before they finally reach out to you and say, hey, I've been watching you for so long, and you've been inspiring me, and I've never had the confidence to comment on one of your posts. But I really wanted to just let you know that what you're doing is an inspiration to me, and that I want you to keep doing what you're doing. Those messages really mean a lot, and they kind of show you that there are people watching, even if you don't think so. So that is my second tip. Be consistent. Show up every day in your social media. Show up every day in your fitness, in your challenge groups. It's really important to do that. Even on the weekends, just show what you're doing with your family and with your friends, and that you have have a life outside of fitness and work as well. My third tip, and I think this is really, really important, is you have to put quality content out there. And this is going to be a little bit of tough love, but like I said, we can't be putting stock photos out there because people, they don't relate to that. That doesn't attract them, especially if they don't know anything about Beachbody. That might not catch their attention. What's going to catch their attention is a picture of your face, a picture of your family, a bright, bold photo that stops someone in their scroll, and that is a good quality photo and not just a photo that you took in your dark, dingy basement. Like I work out every day in my basement, but I almost never take photos down there because the lighting is really terrible. And a lot of the times I have coaches message me and say, how is your lighting so, like, what do you use for lighting, or why do your selfies look like they're professional or whatever? And I don't know if they say that, but why do they look nice? And I say, I literally stand in front of a mirror in the middle, or in front of a window in the middle of the day when the light's shining in, and I take my selfie in front of the light. And it's so much better than, taking it at this time at night. Like, a picture is not going to turn out that great. It's just little things like that, taking a picture in front of the window, and you're going to get a better quality photo. Posting content like that is scroll stopping and is going to catch attention. Another thing is making sure that your posts are thoughtful. Writing out a post and really taking time to read it over, maybe reading it out loud, and making sure that it makes sense, and making sure that it's content that you want to put out there. You want to ask yourself, does this content educate, inspire, motivate, teach, or provide value? You really want to ask yourself those things before you put it out there, and make sure that it's a well-constructed, thought-out post. And I'm not saying every post has to be like this long. It can be a short little quote or whatever, but you want to make sure that what you're putting out there is quality, and that it's good content. You also want to, oh yes, okay, Vanessa just said, can I repeat those again? So you want to ask yourself, does this content educate, inspire, motivate, teach, or provide value? And sometimes the quotes, like, they don't always have to be, super serious and super serious. They can be just a funny or a light post, but you want to keep variety within your posts. You want to keep different, sometimes you might have like 3 tips, sometimes you might have an inspirational quote. You want variety within your post, but you want to make sure that it's good quality. And if someone were to share, this is another great question you can ask yourself. If someone were to share your post, would it reflect positively on them? So that's something that I try to think about. If someone were to share it, would it look good on them? Would it make them look good? That's a really good way to look at it. Another thing for quality content is if you come across quotes that you like, maybe don't just save those quotes, like on Pinterest or whatever, maybe don't just save those posts and use them. You could recreate them in a way that's unique to you. So there's great apps like WordSwag, Rona Designs, there's tons of great apps like that. And you can just take that quote and recreate it using like a format that you can use here on out that's a brand unique to you. Or you can just use that quote in the description of your picture. That's a great technique as well. But save those quotes that mean something to you. And if they have someone else's watermark on them, like, I don't know if you've seen that before, it says the quote and then it says like Foodie Girl Fitness underneath. When you save that, you're promoting them and not yourself. So why not take that quote and make it your own, and then put your handle underneath, whether it's your Instagram handle or your Facebook name or whatnot. Or like I said, just use the quote under your photo. But really, when a quote speaks to you, save that and use it for content. Another thing that's really good for quality content is go out with a friend or your husband or your boyfriend or whatever on the weekend and have them take some shots of you. I know we were talking about this on the weekend. Sometimes your husband isn't always the best photographer. Sometimes he's really great. But if you have a friend or a sister or your mom or whatever, have them go out and take some photos. Like, at first it feels kind of staged and weird, But then you get a year or two into the business and it's like your everyday life and you take photos like that all the time. But that's a really good thing to do, because then you have all these photos in your album that you're ready to use. And when you're not feeling like you have quality content to post, you can always go back to those really great photos that you took that day and use those photos. And it's a good idea to take those photos and actually have a little description written up and have some really good quality content planned. I know that I was talking to Kara about this on the weekend. She actually has kind of an idea of the social media content that she's going to post throughout the week. She tries to hit all the bases, like challenge group invites and fitness and the coaching opportunity. And she kind of plans out like a vague idea of what she's posting each day so that she covers all the topics and so that she has a variety of content. So that is my third tip. Quality content. Put some thought into it. Make sure that the photos are bright and bold and beautiful, and that you're showing you, putting you first. You want to lead with the why and not the what. So you want to lead with you and not the product. You can share how the product and the opportunity has changed your life, but really make sure that you are putting yourself first. My fourth tip is to, excuse me, I need water. My fourth tip is to draw inspiration, but don't imitate. You might have a coach that you follow that you love their content and you love their message and it speaks to you. A really great idea is to screenshot those posts, save them, and recreate that post in a way that speaks you and your voice, and really puts a spin on that post. If you loved it, puts a spin on it that is in your terms. So maybe there's a coach that's going through something, like a top coach or whatever, any kind of coach that's going through something that's similar to you, or you just really like their style. Keep an eye out for those posts, and you can recreate it in your own way, whatever you took away from that post or whatever you liked. But it's always important to make sure that your voice is coming through. And then my fifth tip is, and we kind of talked about this already, is you are not just a Beachbody coach. You are so much more than a Beachbody coach. And I think when we first start out in this, and I know I was this way, like I took that on as my new identity. I was a Shakeology salesperson, but we're so much more than that. And there are people out there that share your interests and your hobbies that need fitness in their lives. This is what Kara was telling me. There's like knitters and writers and photographers and winos, especially the winos. They need fitness in their lives. And those people, you can relate to them, and you can show that you share those hobbies and that that you're relatable to them, and draw them into the business as well. And like everyone can use fitness and Beachbody and this coaching opportunity in their lives, but it's really important to hone in on those other aspects of your life, those other interests, those niches of yours that you can speak to other people that maybe aren't necessarily fitness related. Because I know when I started, I wasn't into fitness. I didn't care for fitness at all. I was out of shape. And so fitness posts wouldn't have attracted me into the business. Like I said, I just wanted to be Kara's best friend. Like that's what attracted me into the business. You know, I wanted to be a part of the community, and I loved like what I seen coaches were doing. So for them to share those sides of coaching, it was really what drew me in more than the fitness. Another thing about you just not being a Beachbody coach is we have to remove Beachbody jargon from our posts. Because the only people that understand that jargon are Beachbody coaches. And we're trying to attract people that don't necessarily know anything about Beachbody. So for example, when Core de Force came out, I tried not to always call it Core de Force. I tried to call it MMA style workout, a kickboxing workout, because I know that people understood those terms and they didn't know what Core de Force meant, but they might know what MMA means or kickboxing. Same with Beachbody On Demand. Not everybody knows what Beachbody On Demand means. So if you can describe it in a different way, like Netflix for workouts. I hear a lot of people describe it that way. That's a really good way, a really good tangible way to describe it, because people know what Netflix is. They can relate to that. So they can picture Beachbody On Demand when you say it that way. But taking out all of that, the coach catchphrases and terms like that when we post our content, so that more people can relate to it and more people understand it. You kind of have to dumb it down and make sure any average Joe could understand your posts and take something away from it. Because sometimes when people read a post and they see Beachbody jargon right off the bat, they might just disregard it, because we're constantly seeing things like that in our world. So really making it more relatable to, you know, the everyday people, then that's a really good way to appeal to everyone. And you have to remember that not everyone loves fitness. Like when we come into this world and we start coaching and we fall in love with it and we fall in love with the process and fitness and working out every day, like we're the weird ones. We're the weird ones, and not everyone loves fitness. So we can't always be leading with fitness. It's super important to talk about fitness, obviously, because that's the backbone of this company. But it is important to remember that not everyone loves fitness. So an example I wanted to give was, if you're in Kara's Modern Fitness group, we did a little activity. Modern Fitness, this is her personally sponsored coaches group. So we did a little activity where we posted our social media and asked the other girls in the group to respond with what they'd like to see more of us. And not one person responded, you know, I'd like to see more Shakeology recipes, or I'd like to see you do a perfect squat, or anything like that, right? It was like, I want to see more of your family, and I want to see your boyfriend and your wedding photos, and I want to see what makes you you and what makes your story unique. So it's really important to remember to lead with your heart and to lead with you and your story. And I know I've said that a million times, but it's so important. So those are my 5 tips. I just have a few final thoughts that I want to share with you guys. At the end of the week, it's a really good practice to take a look at your social media, take inventory, and kind of see what worked and what didn't. What were people engaging with and what weren't they? And the stuff that's working, add that into your content more often. Like, that's what people want to see. That's what people like. So it's a good practice to do that, and see if you're adding enough variety. Like, are you talking about fitness too much? Are you talking about the coaching opportunity too much, or whatever it may be? It's important to show that you're multifaceted, per se. And you want to raise curiosity instead of raising resistance. So you want people to reach out to you and ask, like, what are you doing, and why? How come you're feeling so great? And how can I get on board with that, instead of, you know, constantly shoving Beachbody terms down their throat? And like, we live in a world that's so salesy and so icky that it's refreshing to raise curiosity and for people to be interested in what you're doing, and to just, you know, show that you're on fire, and that you're full of joy and purpose, and that they can join you, and that you're willing to take them along for that. So I think that's all I have to say for you guys. Don't be afraid to be you. Like, you're all so wonderful, and you're all so unique. And it's so important to just be you and lead with you, and people are going to want to join you, because so many people are going to relate to you and your story and your unique take on coaching. And I think that's so important. So thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your evening to listen, taking the time away from your families. I really, really appreciate it. I think I'm done. If you guys have, I'll just go through here. If you guys have any questions. Tasha says, would you still use the stock photos every once in a while? I think it really depends. If you can put your own spin on it, then I would. I don't personally use them a lot of the time. I know that when Quarter Force came out, I kind of took Quarter Force and one of the graphics and made it my own, but I don't necessarily just use the stock photos, because like I said, people are going to recognize that right away as salesy. And if you just lead with you and pictures of you and your family and what you're going through, I think that's a lot more powerful than a photo that, you know, the marketing company came up with. I mean, they're great at it, but I think it's really important to just lead with you. I don't know how many times I said that. Okay, I think that's it. If you guys have any more questions, I can always answer them in the Fit Lounge. And thank you again for hopping on. Have a great night.
That was awesome, Nicole. Great job.
Thank you.
I have to do that too. Like, I find that lately, just because so many cool things have been going on with coaching, I'm like, all I want to do is talk about coaching. Oh yeah, I have kids too.
Yeah, for sure.
So awesome. That was great.
Thank you. See you guys.
Yeah.